Your car makes a strange noise. Then steam starts coming out. Imagine your engine blowing up like this while you're on the way to work. Or getting a $12,000 repair bill for a car you're still paying off. This isn't made up. Real people have been through it. Mechanics hate these engines. Owners wish they never bought them. Here are the 5 worst engines ever made, straight from the people who suffered through them. 5. Mazda 2.3-liter DISI Turbo. This engine seems really cool at first because it makes your car super fast and fun to drive. The Mazda 2.3-liter turbo was in the Mazda Speed 3 and Mazda Speed 6 cars. People loved how quick they were. Because here's the ugly truth. While the engine feels amazing when it works, it also has a dark side, a very expensive dark side. The 2.3-liter DISI Turbo has a habit of literally breaking itself apart while you're having fun. One of the biggest issues, the pistons. They have a reputation for cracking under high boost and aggressive tuning, especially when drivers push past the stock limits. And once that happens, game over. Your engine's done. You don't just fix it, you replace it entirely. Why does it happen? Well, part of the problem is heat. This engine runs hot, really hot, especially under boost. Think of it like running a marathon in the middle of the desert. Sure, you might make it a few miles, but eventually, your body just can't take the punishment. That's exactly what happens inside this engine. Under pressure, with all that boost, the heat becomes too much and things start falling apart. Now, over on the Bob is the Oil Guy forums, a longtime user summed it up well. Okay, this person is basically saying that Mazda was ahead of the game with this engine. It was one of the first small 4-cylinder engines that packed a serious punch, and it helped set the trend for others to follow. But if you didn't change the oil often enough, or if you used cheap, thin oil, the engine could start falling apart. Things like the timing chain could stretch, and the turbo seals would start leaking. So yeah, it's awesome. If you take care of it like it's your baby. This guy's smart. He used a solid synthetic oil, 5W30, and his car stayed healthy. Others who had problems with oil consumption ended up switching to Shell Rotella T65W40, which is actually a diesel oil, but a lot of performance folks use it because it's tough and holds up well under heat. But even perfect oil won't save you if you get too greedy with boost. One Mazda Speed 6 owner shared a painful story. Even though he treated his car like a grandma, gentle, smooth, respectful. But the moment he pushed the boost from stock 18 psi up to 20 psi with just a short ram intake, the engine blew. No surprise. That kind of boost without proper supporting mods and tuning? It's asking for trouble. You're forcing more air, more fuel, more stress into an engine that wasn't built for that kind of abuse. A lot of people who own these cars know full well that they'll probably need a new engine before hitting 100,000 miles. And they still buy them anyway because it's so much fun to drive. When it works, it's absolutely amazing. But when it breaks big. Engine rebuilds for the 2.3-liter DISI can cost $8,500 or more, depending on how much damage was done. But trust me, if you think spending $8,500 on a Mazda engine rebuild is bad, wait until you hear about the absolute disaster that's coming at number 1. That engine can destroy itself even with perfect maintenance. 4. Ford 1-liter EcoBoost. You buy a Ford because you think it's solid, dependable, safe. But if your Ford has the 1-liter EcoBoost engine, you might want to listen up. Because for many owners and even pro mechanics, this little engine turned into a big disaster. It sounds good on paper, turbocharged, fuel-efficient, peppy performance. But in real life, fires, coolant loss, overheating, and head gasket failures. The main problem is that it gets way too hot and the cooling system can't keep up. When engines get too hot, they break really fast. The head gasket blows out and coolant mixes with oil. Take this guy on Reddit who owned a 2017 Focus 1.0 EcoBoost. His car gave up at just 60,000 miles. The oil light flickered on, but it wasn't just a low oil warning, it was the beginning of the end. The oil strainer had gotten blocked, a known issue with these engines. It cost him 1,200 pounds to repair. And as if that wasn't enough, the recalled coolant hose. It failed twice within 5 years. Not once, twice. One driver had their belt disintegrate at just 80,000 miles and 6 years old. The red oil light came on, and by then, it was too late. The damage was done. They had to replace the entire engine for €3,000, and that was just for a reconditioned one. Another owner warned that even slight maintenance delays could be deadly for this engine. If you don't stay on top of oil changes and inspections, the cam belt can fall apart, clog your oil system, and cook the engine from the inside out. Ford was aware of some of these issues. They issued several technical service bulletins, TSBs, warning about coolant leaks and possible engine damage. But for many people, the warnings came way too late. By the time they figured out what was going wrong, the damage had already been done. And for some, it just wasn't worth the fight. Instead of dumping more money into a car that kept breaking, they simply walked away and scrapped it. And just when you think it can't get any worse, wait until you hear about engine number 2. This one doesn't just break down. It drinks oil like a junkie and makes you question every car buying decision you've ever made. 3. BMW N20 N26 Turbo 4-cylinder. BMW made these engines for their popular cars, like the 328i and X3. When you drive one, you feel awesome because the car is smooth, quiet, and powerful. Most people really enjoy their BMW for the first few years of ownership. But around 60,000 to 80,000 miles, the plastic timing chain guide breaks. When this happens in this kind of engine, everything gets destroyed all at once. Your engine just dies completely. On Bimmer forums, one user wrote, "The red they're talking about is the color of the plastic timing chain guide. These plastic guides wear out or break over time. And once that guide breaks, the metal chain that keeps your engine in sync starts to stretch and then snap. When that happens, the engine's parts crash into each other and boom, the whole engine can be destroyed." What this mechanic owner says is even more worrying. Most cars coming into the shop for unrelated issues also need new timing chain parts. That's scary. Even if your car isn't in for engine trouble, it probably still has this problem hiding inside. Pieces of the broken plastic from the guide fall into the oil sump, which messes with oil circulation and causes more engine damage. This isn't just a once-in-a-while issue. He calls it very common. BMW quietly extended the warranty on these timing chains after thousands of people complained. But they only did this after many owners had already paid for expensive repairs. The people who got stuck with the bills never got their money back. 2. Volkswagen 2.0 TEA 888 Gen 1-2. This engine has one main problem that will drive you absolutely crazy. It burns oil like a house fire. We're talking about having to add oil every few weeks, or your engine will run dry and break. This issue mostly affects Gen 1, 2006 to 2008, and Gen 2, 2008 to 2012. Versions of the EA 888 engine found in cars like the Volkswagen GTI, Passat, Jetta, Tiguan, CC, and Audi A3, A4, and A5 during those years. The problem is the rings around the pistons don't seal properly. Oil gets burned up when it should stay in the engine. The oil consumption gets worse over time. Cars that start by using half a quart between oil changes end up needing a quart every 1,500 miles. Some people report going through 2 to 3 quarts between oil changes. A Reddit Tiguan owner wrote, "That's not normal. A car spitting out smoke and needing 6 valve stems replaced means something's really wrong inside the engine. Valve stem seals are supposed to last for years and not fail like that." Another said, "This owner says that using 1 quart of oil every 1,000 miles is normal. But that's crazy. That's like topping up oil every couple of weeks just to keep the engine alive." The really annoying part is that Volkswagen and Audi acted like this was totally fine. They published guidelines saying it was normal for these engines to burn through oil this fast. Imagine if your phone company said it was normal for your battery to die every few hours. When you constantly run low on oil, everything inside the engine wears out faster. So even if you keep adding oil, your engine will still break down much sooner than it should. 1. Chrysler 2.7 liter V6, the absolute worst. If there was ever a king of bad engines, the Chrysler 2.7 liter V6 wears the crown, and not in a good way. Found in cars like the Dodge Intrepid, Chrysler Sebring, and even early base trims of the Chrysler 300 and Dodge Charger, this engine was supposed to be a modern, efficient V6 for the 2000s. Instead, it became a nightmare. Let's start with one of the biggest complaints. Ask any mechanic what the biggest issue was, and they'll likely give you the same answer. Oil sludge buildup. This engine had a small 5-quart oil pan, which just wasn't enough for the heat it generated. Add in narrow oil passages and poor crankcase ventilation, and you've basically got a sludge factory. The oil would overheat, break down quickly, and transform into thick, sticky sludge that choked the engine from the inside. That sludge clogged vital components, cut off lubrication, and led to complete engine failure far too often. Many mechanics point to a major design flaw where the water pump leaks coolant directly into the crankcase, contaminating the oil and accelerating the sludge issue. Even owners who tried to do everything right, changing the oil often, keeping things clean, still found themselves on the losing end of a very expensive engine replacement. Over on Reddit, one user summed it up perfectly. That's not just one problem. That's a whole disaster checklist. The water pump? Yeah, it's inside the engine. When it fails, it leaks coolant straight into the oil. Then you've got a poor PCV system and bad oil flow, which basically means the engine can't breathe or stay properly lubricated. Result? Overheating, sludging, and catastrophic failure. On Geometro Forum, someone else expressed the frustration. This person's frustration says it all. The 2.7 wasn't just unreliable, it was weak. Another massive issue? Chrysler used this small V6 engine in large, heavy vehicles that desperately needed more torque and durability. Cars like the Dodge Charger and Chrysler 300 were built on the LX platform. Solid, heavy, and demanding. But the 2.7-liter V6 simply couldn't keep up. There it is. The 2.7 was working overtime just to move these big-body cars down the road. That constant strain meant wear and tear happened fast, and reliability went out the window. Motor Biscuit flat out calls the 2.7-liter a worst engine ever made, and it's not hard to see why. Now, to be fair, some owners did manage to squeeze decent life out of these engines, but only under extreme care. On Bob is the Oil Guy, a longtime user shared their 2.7-liter experience. He insists on full synthetic, very short intervals, clean coolant, perfect PCV system. It lives only under obsessive care. Another mechanic on Motors Forum added, meaning high-frequency maintenance is mandatory or it fails fast. This wasn't an engine you could own casually. You had to monitor it constantly. Skip a step even once and you'd be looking at piston failure, knocked bearings, or a full-blown engine replacement. The problems with the 2.7-liter V6 were so widespread, they didn't just affect owners, they tanked resale values. Used cars with this engine were worth significantly less, even if the engine still worked fine. Why? Because everyone was afraid of what could happen next. Buyers knew the engine had a bad reputation. Mechanics warned people to stay away. Even insurance companies started refusing to cover engine damage in certain models because failures were that common. If you've had one of these terrible engines, tell your story in the comments so other people don't make the same mistake. Subscribe if this video just saved you from wasting $15,000 on a broken car. And we'll see you in the next one where we talk about engines that actually don't suck.